This is the best open source AI image editing and generation tool available right now. Using this brand new model, you can edit any part of the image by writing a simple sentence. You know how sometimes you have a perfect photo, but there's just one thing you want to change? Maybe you want to change the color of your dog, maybe you want to change the background of an image, or simply change someone else's clothes, or even edit text that's already present in an image. Well, traditionally, you need to open up Photoshop, spend hours learning complex tools, and probably still not get the results that you want to. But this AI model can handle all of that in a few seconds. You know, when we think of a really smart AGI system, we think of communicating with that model using our natural language, and if the AI model understands the context of what we're saying to it, it can do that task. This model feels like the first true step in that direction. You can simply tell this model to make the sky a bit more dramatic or change her shirt color to blue, and it will just do it. That's exactly what Flux Kontext does, and today I'm going to show you everything you need to know in order to set this model up and start generating your first images. We're gonna start up with basics. So first up, let's understand what Flux Kontext is. So this model can understand images and the text you write to it. So right off the bat, unlike other stable diffusion models which generate an image from a scratch, this model can look at the image you provide to it, and it can make tiny changes based on your specific text prompts. That's why it's called Flux Kontext, because it can understand the context of the image you've provided to it and the text you've written to it. It understands what a face is, what a background is, and what you're telling to change in that image you've provided to it. Let me show you a simple example. Here's a photo of someone sitting in a vast field. If I want to change the entire landscape, I can simply write turn this into a snowy landscape, and the AI understands the context of the image and my instructions and simply does the job for me. This technology is made by Black Forest Labs, and it's trained on something they call in-context learning. So as a result of that training, it's able to do in-context image generation. Basically, this AI has been provided millions of images and the context behind those images. So now the model has grown to understand the context behind images. So when you give it specific instructions, it's able to understand the context of the image and make small changes according to your instructions. And you don't need to be really technical with the details as well. You can simply talk to the model in natural language, like tilt her head towards the camera, make her laugh, and these are the results the model is able to produce from just those simple instructions. This model is also able to understand text, and it's also able to change that text. So here you can see that instead of beer, we have given it instruction to change it to context, and after that we have given it instruction to change the whole environment. So we've written change the setting to a nightclub, and the model is able to put that text in a nightclub sort of setting. And it's pretty amazing how using natural language you can tell this model to change the dog's fur color from white to brown, make the cat's eyes blue instead of green, or even add a Sharingan inside the cat's eyes, replace the background behind the horse with a desert background. I'm gonna show you now how to set up this model locally inside your PC using Comfyui, and after that we're gonna play around with this model a bit and test a few different ways in which you can use this model. There are a bunch of platforms where you can go and use this model. For example, you have this website. You can come to this website and try Flux Kontext from here, and there are a few other options as well. If you go to the Black Forest website and you scroll all the way to the bottom, you can try Flux from here as well. If you want to run it locally on your machine like me, what you need to do is simply turn on your Comfyui, and we can remove this workflow, and you can simply drag and drop this workflow that I will have in the description down below. Just drop it here inside Comfyui. This is the basic workflow. We're going to be changing a few things in this workflow, and I'm going to go over those in a minute. But first up, for the models, by default this node is loading a gguf model, but I'm not going to do that. I'll be using a diffusion model, so I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to get a load diffusion model node, and I'm simply going to plug it in over here. So I'm gonna be using a diffusion model instead of that one. That's one thing. And the second thing, by default, what this workflow is doing is it's getting the images for context from the output. So whatever output this workflow generates, it's gonna show up over here, and then it's gonna pull that output from here and it's gonna run that back through the workflow, so we can re-edit an image over and over again. But I don't want to do right now, so I'm simply gonna remove this node and I'm gonna load an image of my own here. So I'm simply gonna plug it in here. So now we have everything ready. I'm gonna change this image in a bit. I'm gonna add a link for this diffusion model as well because it's not over here. I'm gonna add a link for the model I am using. You need to select the text encoders as well, both of them. And that's pretty much it for the setup. So this is the input image I have. It's an image of a living room. Let's try giving this prompt to this model. So I'm gonna come over here to this clip text encode and I'm gonna write over here. This is the input image and this is the prompt I have given to this model, and I'm gonna run this and let's see if it's able to identify the walls inside this living room and it's able to change them or not. So as you can see now, the model has painted these walls a bright yellow color, and it has also taken care of the reflections and the ambient light present in this room because of these walls. So when the light is bouncing off of these walls, it's creating a whole really warm sort of tone. Now what we can do is we can change this node, or we can simply bypass this, and we're gonna bypass this one. So I'm gonna click on refresh and it's gonna pull this image over here, and we're gonna try and refeed this image to the image 1 section. So I'm gonna put it in here and let's try to make some changes. Okay, so now we're gonna run this again. I've written change the sofa color to bright red, and let's see if it's able to understand the context. It has only changed the sofa color and the rest of colors are the same. Now let's try something a bit extreme. I'm gonna write over here, and this time I have written turn this into a nighttime setting, and let's see what context the model draws from it and if it's able to apply those changes or not. And as you can see, the model has turned this in fact into a nighttime, but it's pretty dark. We have a little silhouette of the sofa over here, and we have a really dim light coming through the windows. I'm not gonna pull this image here in this section. I'm simply gonna re-edit this one, and I'm gonna write. So now I'm once again editing this image, but I am providing a little more instructions to the model, and this time around you can see the model has placed a candle, and we can see small highlights on the sofa and on this chair over here. Now I'm going to change the image, so I'm going to bypass this node. I'm going to unbypass this and I'm going to connect it to image 1, and I'm going to change this as well. This is my original character, and let's try to generate her in different settings. So I'm gonna write a prompt over here. Okay, so I have written make this character take a selfie on a high skyscraper, keep the art style and colors of the character the same, and let's see if the model is able to pull this off or not. And as you can see, like I asked it to do, the model has kept the art style consistent, and these results are pretty amazing. We're gonna pull this image once again here from the output. So this time I have asked it to turn her hair from black to blonde and keep pretty much everything else exactly the way it is, and you can see the model is able to identify the context, and it has only selected her hair for changing. And as you can see, the results are pretty stunning. The model has only changed her hair this time. Now we're gonna once again change the prompt. I'm gonna pull this over here, and now let's make her sit in a cafe. I'm gonna click on run, and now she is probably gonna go from taking pictures on top of a skyscraper to sitting on a coffee table. And once again, the results, they pretty much speak for themselves. So using this, you can simply feed this model a single image of your character, and then you can generate it as many times as you want to in different settings and different scenarios. Okay, so now I have changed the character, and this time it's a realistic character. Let's try and make her wear Ray-Bans. Let's see how this model performs with realistic images. So this was the input, and this is the output the model is generating right now. and you see she is now wearing Ray-Bans. Let's try and keep the same input image, and now I'm gonna try to change the landscape. You can see the model has changed the landscape from this grassy field to this snowy sort of landscape. This was the input image, and you can see the likeness of character hasn't changed. Her pose is still the same as we intended it to be, and only the background has been changed. We're gonna move on to providing multiple context to this model in a minute, because that's not as simple as it looks. It's a bit technical. I'm gonna explain that in a detail, but before that we're gonna look at something else. Generally, when playing around with this model, it's not recommended to change everything at once. What they recommend is changing small bits iteratively. So that's what we're gonna try and do this time, because if you try to explain a lot of different instructions to the model at the same time, the results are gonna be poor compared to if you're just changing one thing at a time. We're gonna try to change the lighting of this cafe and change the overall mood and theme of the cafe, and we're gonna do all of these things iteratively. So first of all, I'm gonna write, so here I have written make the lighting slightly warmer and more golden, and it's a small change, but as you can see, the image is just a tad bit more warmer compared to our previous one. Now I'm gonna pull this image here in this section, and we're gonna make our next change, which is to add some hanging lights here from the ceiling. And as you can see, this time around the model is adding some ceiling lights hanging from up there. Now finally, let's try and change the text written over here. Now I have change the white text from coffee to cafe, and it has failed to do that. I'm gonna try to be a bit more specific this time around. Okay, so I was a bit more precise with my instructions this time, and as you can see, the model has perfectly changed the word from coffee to cafe, and it has preserved the font as well, which is really amazing. Next up, I have given this image as an input, and I have written replace the flowers in the vase with a small cactus, and the model has changed the vase as well with the cactus, but we have not specified to the model to keep the vase exactly the way it was before. Now I have told the AI model to do very precise editing only for this cup and to keep everything else the same. Let's see if it's able to keep the character same and only change the described part of the image. And as you can see, the results once again are almost perfect. The character's face, her expression, pose, everything is same, only the cup has changed. We're gonna build on top of this image, so I'm gonna save it and load it over here, and we're gonna try to do really extreme changes. So I am gonna write put her in a forest, and now our character is drinking her orange juice in a forest. This is the output we've gotten. We're gonna build on top of this yet again, so I'm gonna load it over here once again, make this image look like a vintage postcard, and this is what we've gotten this time. So it's pretty amazing that you can make all of these adjustments and changes in an image by just providing a simple context or a prompt. Lastly, we're gonna try one more use case for this AI. I'm gonna try to change the price of these drinks. So let's try to change the price of this latte from 5 to let's say 7. Let's try to convey this to the AI. So I'm gonna write, this is the message I have given to AI, and let's see what we get as an output. So it's not able to do that. I'm gonna try to change the prompt from 5. Okay, I have tried with a different prompt this time, and let's see if the model is able to understand the context better or not. And the model has changed the prices this time around, but it has changed it for double espresso and americano as well, but it also changed the price of latte to what we wanted it to be. So the context really matters a lot. As you can see from here, how you tell the AI what to do really matters a lot. Now we're gonna move on to providing multiple images as context to this model, and sometimes it produces some errors, and I'm gonna show you how you can fix those issues. So I'm gonna remove this, and I'm gonna get another load image node, and I'm gonna plug it in here, and now I am gonna try to provide it a context, and let's see if it's able to pull this off or not. So I've written take the clothes from the man in yellow costume and put it on the man in black suit and tie, and let's see what results we get. So yeah, this is what the AI is making at the moment, and as you can see, this is not the result we expected the model to generate. So because these two images are bigger in size, the model has tried to stitch them together in a single image, and then the model has tried to work on top of this image, so the final output will have Joe over here as well. We don't want it to do this. We want it to merge these two images together, but the AI has no context of that. So a method to try to fix that is we can try and squish the images together in a sort of portrait format. Then we can try to push that squished portrait latent image to this AI model, so it only has that latent space to work on. So I'm gonna look for an empty latent, and I'm gonna set its size to roughly a portrait resolution 832 by 1200, let's say roughly that size, and I'm gonna push this latent image here in this case sampler. So now we are forcing this AI to only draw on a portrait resolution, but what we have done by connecting this node over here is the AI has lost all context of these images. Now we can fix that by once again giving the model context. We can do that by encoding this image and then giving the empty latent to over here. So now once again the model has context of these images, and let's try and see what we get as an output. Now I have tried to change the context, but the AI has placed this person Hugh Jackman here in this setting over here in front of the flag, but at least this time the AI did not produce a stretched out image because we tried to squish those images together in a portrait latent space. That's only where the AI gets to draw this time around. Okay, now I have added my original character over here, and I have added a black perfume bottle, and we can get her to promote this perfume bottle. Let's try and write make her hold the black perfume, keep her art style and colors the same. And here as you can see what the AI is generating, she is holding that black perfume, and here is the output result we've gotten. So you can get your characters to promote different stuff. We're gonna try this with the realistic one as well. Here are some other results that I have generated with this perfume and this guy, and here is the Wolverine sitting at a coffee table, for example. So that's how you can provide context with multiple images to this model and generate some really cool looking images. Now let's briefly go over how to get the best results from this model. The first tip is to be specific but not overly complex. So instead of saying make it look better, you can go with something like make the lighting warmer and add more contrast, so the AI can understand your context better. So here's the comparison. I used the same image with two different prompts. The first one was improve this photo. That's pretty vague, right? The result was okay but not very targeted. The second prompt was brighten the sky, make the grass more vibrant green and add some white clouds. This is so much more specific. The second tip is to work iteratively like I mentioned. Don't try to make a lot of changes in a single go. This model is actually designed to build on previous edits. You can take the output from one edit and use it as an input for the next edit like I showed you guys earlier in the video. So for example, first up I'm gonna put her in a library setting. Then I'm gonna write make the lighting more dramatic with stronger shadows. Finally, I'm gonna put some books floating magically in the air around the person. The third tip is to pay attention to the image quality. This model works best with clear, well-lit images. If your starting image is blurry or very dark, the AI might struggle to understand what it's working with. Now let's talk about the speed and performance of this model. So this model is pretty fast, as you see, running on an RTX 4090. The speed is really good. This chart right here shows the relative speed boost you can expect when running this model under different precision modes. So what you're looking at is how fast different formats perform compared to the regular BF16 running in PyTorch. Using a FP4 with Tensor RT, you get almost 2 times the speed, and that is some really good performance for high resolution image generation, especially if you're rendering lots of frames for video workflows. photos. Right next to that we have a FP8 with Tensor RT, giving you little less than 2 times the speed. This is probably the sweet spot for most users because FP8 retains more quality while still being super efficient. Then we move to BF16 in Tensor RT, which only gives a slight edge, almost negligible, but if you are running really long workflows then it amounts to something. Now let's see how it ranks against other models. First up with character preservation, basically how well a model can keep a consistent face or a body across edits. This model is right at the top, beating even closed models like Gemini Flash from Google and ByteDance Bagel. Moving on to instruction editing, both globally and locally. This is where you tell the model to change something specific like remove the hat or add sunset in the background. The type of instructions we've been testing with this model, and this model has performed really good here as well. The same goes for text insertion and editing and in style transfer. Now the real world application scenario for this model is pretty insane. You can generate a lot of content for your social media platforms using this model, and if you only provide one reference image for any character or user to this AI model, you can make a lot of social media posts featuring that character or that person. This is the part I am most excited about. So if you have an original character, you can draw a lot of different poses for your character using this model. So like I showed you earlier on in the video, if you're providing your original character, you can draw various different poses of your character to potentially train a custom model off of it, or just to use as a reference when drawing or making a comic book. So that's it for this video guys. I hope this video was helpful, and if you enjoyed it, press the like button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.